I'm Matt Cupper, I'm 31 and I'm a geologist.
Geologists look at rocks and sediments and soils and also fossils of plants and animals from past life. The really exciting aspects of my job is making discoveries, so finding new fossil locations or new types of past life that people weren't aware of previously. Some of the things that I look at are the early occupation of Australia by humans, and my other interest is looking at the giant animals that occupied Australia during the last ice age. Because we're looking at, in geological scales, very recent records, most of the sediments that I look at are very close to the surface, so we only need to have very small exposures to look down into the geological past. So we don't need to go too far into the ground to find records that are just several million years old. One of the things that we do when we go out in the field is we collect sediments to find out how old they are. So the main technique that I use is luminescence dating, which measures how long sediment has been buried under the ground. Luminescence dating relies on the time since sediment was exposed to sunlight. So we want to collect a sample that isn't exposed to light. So we drive a steel tube into the geological outcrop, and the sediment is retained unexposed to light within that cylinder, and then we take that back to the lab and extract the quartz under controlled red light conditions so that there's no light exposure. And then by releasing that light energy in a controlled environment in the lab, we can work out the age of the sediment. Essentially, the amount of stored energy in the sand is proportional to the amount of time it's been buried, and the more light it releases, the more stored energy it has within it, so it's proportional to its age. We can date events going back to about 1 million years ago, but there is a whole range of techniques that geologists can use to go back to the very dawn of time, like several billion years of Earth history. I was always interested in physical environment. With my family, we'd go out on holidays to places like the Flinders Ranges, and I'd bring back rocks and skeletons and nests. So from a really young age, had a real fascination with what the past of the planet was like. I came to the University of Melbourne, where I studied archaeology and botany and geology and zoology and chemistry. Yeah, I did a higher degree and then moved on to become a paid researcher here. I think the academic background is rather important because, in a sense, you're a little bit of a detective looking at something that happened quite a long time in the past. So the more analytical skills you can bring to your research field, the better. So there's always advances in new technologies. By looking at what the planet was like in the past, how landscapes were formed and how the plants and animals interacted in that environment, we're able to get an appreciation of what may happen in the future with things like global warming or sea level rise and fall and extinction and land degradation. One of the real key conditions for someone who wants to be a geologist is to work outdoors. Most geologists spend a lot of time out in the field. Research geologists have to go through rainforests or over rocky terrain to get to their field sites, and economic geologists have to go down mine shafts or in quarries or out on oil rigs. So there's a physically demanding component of work as a geologist. Particular fields of geology are in demand, particularly at the moment with the resources boom. People who work in minerals exploration, exploitation and petroleum exploration, mining, those industries are in particular high demand at the moment. The area that I work in geochronology, there's a real demand for people who can work out the age of rocks. I think I have what you could be regarded as a dream job, in the sense that it's something that I'm really passionate and excited about, and it's almost like pursuing a hobby, so you can't get much better than that as far as careers go.